Sunday best are your best clothes which you wear on special occasions, especially to church on Sundays. It's actually an old-fashioned term, but we all understand what it means. Many of us won't go to church on Sunday if we're not looking our best. For some, if they don't have anything new to wear, they won't go as they don't want to be seen as repeating clothes. This is especially true in Africa, where you see women all gaily dressed with big scarves or hats blocking the view of those behind them. I'm sure if men could wear caps to church, they would compete with their wives for hat of the day. In many homes on Sundays, it is normal to see a frustrated man waiting for over 30 minutes in the car or living room for his wife to finish with her makeup, hair, and gele. No matter how much you complain, it repeats itself the next Sunday. And as such, most men accept their fate, or for those who can afford it, they leave for church in separate cars. There are actually some men who are worse than women in the amount of time they take to prepare for church. Those three-piece suits must be packed. The agbada must show that this is no ordinary big man. How did the idea of Sunday best start? As I researched this topic, I saw that some people attributed this to the African American church during the slave era. Others said 18th century, while some said 16th century. But I can tell you that over 2,000 years ago, shortly after Christ walked the earth, this practice was already in play. So much so that the writer of 1 Timothy states, I also want women to dress modestly, with decency and propriety, not with braided hair, gold, or pearls, or expensive clothes. Will fear let any priest or pastor say this to the women? Impossible. For over a week, God has been speaking to me about pride. As I inquired why some people I know who are professing and confessing Christians are having some long-lasting challenges, God simply said, I resist the proud and give grace to the humble. He said, it's not what you profess or confess, but it's who you are. You can quote the Bible without knowing God. Even the devil quotes the Bible. For too long, we have used clothes as a form of outward godliness. Some people have preached that we should come to church dressed the way we would dress if we were going to meet the president. Well, the president is not my father, and even if he were, I am a son in the presidential villa. My princely robe is freedom and liberty. We cannot continue to use beautiful clothes to cover our true selves. We don't want people to know our true colors, our fears, pains, trials, and tribulations. So we cover it up in pride and put up an appearance. The church is the place where we should lay it bare, empty our hearts, and cry before God for mercy and salvation. But pride holds us back. Who is watching me? I can't let them know what is going on with me. So, because of pride, we continue to drown in our sorrows. The Bible is made up of the stories of men and women in their weakest moments and their moments of triumph. But we want the world to think that we were born in roses and that life is a bed of roses. Yet, you are suffering. You are crying at night. You are pleading for mercy at night, but in the day you cover up your sorrow with gold and glitz. Who are we deceiving? God? He sees all. Man? He has discernment. If the great men in the Bible hid their sins and trials, we will not have the Bible. This is why we know of David and Job, Samuel and Joseph, Peter and Paul. This is the story of Christ himself. Pain before triumph. Who are you deceiving? Pride and arrogance makes us pretend we're holy. We run from the brethren because we don't want them to see through our holy facade. Don't you know that iron sharpeneth iron? Don't you know that there's nothing you have done, are doing, or experiencing that's new to man? Get rid of your robes. Charles Spurgeon said, the raw material of a devil is an angel bereft of holiness. He also said, you cannot make a Judas except out of an apostle. The eminently good in outward form, when without inward life decays into the foulest thing under heaven. One Judas is an awful weight for the world to bear, but a tribe of them is indeed a peril. This is the church today. This is who we are. Those who have a shadow of religion without its substance. Miracle-chasing tribe. Clouds without water carried about by winds. Chanting what God cannot do does not exist, but don't want to know the God who makes all things exist. Beautiful church, gaily dressed, having the form of godliness without the power thereof. May God help us. God help His church. We have truly gone astray. We have missed the mark. We watch in silence while evil men desecrate the world we're meant to dominate. Strange doctrines emanate daily even from the pulpit. Mammon and the love of everything mammon has consumed us. We judge our God, ourselves, and our neighbors by the standards of mammon. This is why mammon dictates our Sunday best. Mammon is the father of pride. Mammon competes with God for a place in our hearts. Hence, God resists those with the spirit of mammon. We are consumed by ambitions of wealth and grandeur, ambitions of oppression and domination. This is what we mean when we say we must make it. This is why we fake it while we bake what we hope will make us. God has been reduced to a metaphor. In our forms of godliness, we say, thank you, Lord. We say all thanks to God. We say by God's grace. But God was not behind the stealing. God was not behind the prostitution. God was not behind the mess. But we incorporate Him into our message and call it thanksgiving. God is not mocked. He will never be mocked. We must humble ourselves and ask for help. We must ask God to heal our hearts of pride. We must resist mammon so that God won't resist us. We who are supposed to be the light of the world can't be agents of darkness. We can't continue to live our lives like eternity has no meaning or significance. Does the world end in the here and now for us? Or does everlasting life mean something to us? We are paying too much of a price to serve mammon, whereas Christ has paid the ultimate price for our freedom. Sunday best should no longer represent an outward appearance, but be our inward daily appearance. Disciples of Christ who are Christ-like every day. God is not interested in what you wear to church or which car you drove to church. His only interest is your heart. As the heart panted after the water brooks, so shall our soul pant after our God. My soul indeed tested for God, for the living God. When shall I come and appear before God in my Sunday best? God bless you all.